All right, I guess I will start, and if Clayton or Michael join us, great. All right. Um, I had said in the email this morning that we were going to go and try to complete the testing on this MongoDB REST API assignment. Unfortunately, I got part of it working, and now it's broken someplace else. So I'm going to continue working on it. Now, I want to make sure that everybody understands A, this is a test, and B, it's due 1 week from Sunday. Now, I've gotten emails from some of the people in this class that have said, hey, I've fallen behind. There's a lot of work in this class, etc. I don't know if what I'm about to say you guys all agree with or not. There's a lot of work in every class here. And one of the reasons for that is we're trying to prepare you for employment. All right. So in this class so far, I mean, we've covered Node, we've covered Express, and we're in the middle of Mongo. All right. So in other words, out of the MERN stack, which is what this course is supposed to be about, we've covered the E pretty much, Express. We've covered the N pretty much, Node. All right. And we're covering the M right now. Well, I want to finish this assignment because on Monday, I want us to be able to get into working with MongoDB Atlas. All right. So what I'm going to do today is this. All right. When we get done with class today, whenever that is, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at all my code. It's giving me an error, and the error that it's giving me has to do with the salting I'm trying to do. So I found this article online and I sent it out right before class. And it's called Salt and Hash Password Using bcrypt in Node.js. Now, since I just sent it out literally a couple of minutes ago, I would expect that no one has probably read this article yet other than me. So what I'm going to do, tomorrow is supposed to be a lab day. If I can get this all working and all my testing stuff done, then what I'll do is just for the first half an hour tomorrow, all right, I'll show you how to do the testing. If I can't get it to work, then I'll work on it this weekend because I know I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at every bit of my code and I know I'll get it to work. In fact, why don't we just plan on that? We'll plan on starting our Monday class, the class on Monday. All right, going over this article and finishing up. So let me show you how to use the testing stuff. We'll do that for the first half an hour or so. Now, for the rest of this complete the to-do, what I'm going to do, because again, as mentioned, I had people talk to me and say, hey, I've had some problems with some of this stuff and with this to-do thing. And one question I got asked was, is this a brand new project? Which said to me that people haven't been watching the tapes. All right. Yes, it is a brand new project that we started this week and that we've been working on for the majority of this week. All right. Same with this one right here. So what I'm going to do over the next half an hour or so is I pretty much cleaned this up, and I'm going to show you every bit of code that I put in, to this to-do app. I make sure that that's okay. It's not her. All right. And I'm going to show you that. So at least you'll have that to get started on. All right. So if I bring this up on the screen here, this is the way my to-do looks right now. I can make it bigger. All right. That's at what? That's at 200%. So that's plenty big. All right. And I'm going to show you, like I said, all of the code that's in there. What I want to show you is first is this, that if I do go out in here and I go out, hopefully you can see this. I'm at my Mongo shell right now. And if I type in show DBs, you'll notice that one of the ones that I've got in here is that to-do list. So if I use my to-do list, all right, and I say show collections, and there's my to-dos. Now I'm going to run this, but I want you to first see this. So I'm not splitting my screen, but I just want you to see there's item 1 and there's item 2. So when I do come in here and I say db.todos.find, there they are. Item 1, item 2. There are the particular IDs that go along with them. I don't remember what this means anymore. It's something with version 0 or something. I don't remember on that, but it automatically appends that on there. All right. But what I want to show you is this. I'm going to come into here and I'm going to add a couple more to-dos. All right. We'll just put in something like we did yesterday. So like wash the car. Take out garbage. All right. We'll leave it right there. Okay. And now I'm going to remove these 2 that were in here. So I'm going to remove the item 1 and I'm removing the item 2. All right. Now when I go and jump back into here, and I again say db.todos.find, what you notice is there's wash the car and there's take out garbage. The other 2 are gone. So in other words, what I'm telling you is this is working, all right? But before I show you all of my code, which I'm going to do, I'm going to show you everything, even stuff that has not even been changed. I just want to show you everything.
Mr. Scott,
yes.
On your get back share, where your to-do underscore list, where is that at? Like what
You
is?
have to get into the Mongo shell.
Well, yeah, but like, because how you had your list of your databases that we've recently done, your to-do underscore list, is that like a created database that you made, or is
That's the
that
one that
just
was created in this program.
okay? And then is that located in our code, or
as far as where it's created and whatever, I'm going to show you that in just a minute.
okay, thank you.
Okay, no, that's great. All right, but when you look, what I want people to understand, all right, is it says key in the complete code. So basically, I'm giving you that 10 points. All right. Then the next thing in there says add a home page. There is no home page right now. There's only one page on this, and it's the page right here with a to-do list. So I want you to add your own home page. All right. And modify the site as necessary. So you might have to modify your head. Right here, play sticky footer content here. Well, what I want is I'd like to have a sticky footer. I wouldn't even mind if you had a sticky nav bar. So if this does get real big, that the nav bar and the footer don't scroll off the screen. You can put anything and all you want into that nav bar and into that footer within reason, of course. All right. You want to just on the footer, just put, copyright 2022 by John Stark or something like that. That's great. And then on your homepage or on your nav bar, you should have the ability to get to the home page, which you're going to create, and this to-do list page, which you see here right now. All right. So again, you will add a home page and modify any of these files as necessary. Somewhere on that home page, put an image. All right. Make this actually look like a quote real site, unquote. Hopefully that all makes sense. All right. The other big thing that you're supposed to do in here, and this is 25 points. As of right now, if I go in and I take a look at the way that this particular site is set up, all right, if I go to my to-dos, they're right here. All right. We've got a models folder that's got our to-do.js in it. We've got a node modules, which we always do. We've got a public folder with CSS images and JS. We've got a routes folder with index.js and todos.js. All right. And we've got a views folder with our index.ejs and our 3 partials files. or partial files. All right. And that's all fine and dandy. But the other thing you're supposed to do for 25 points is you're supposed to come in here and add a folder called controllers. All right. Then what I want you to do is to take the logic in the routes folder. So the logic that currently exists inside of index.js and todos.js. So in these two files right here, I want you to basically pull out that logic from todos and pull out the logic from index right here and put those into controller files. In other words, I want you to put those, I want you to have a index.js and a todos.js inside of the controllers folder. Then you will change your logic in your routes folder to, rather than having this stuff in there like this, to point to those particular things and where they are. And if you say, I don't understand, take a look at the one that we have been working on with the MongoDB REST API, because that's what we did in there. All right. So that's, like I said, that's 25 points. And I'm not going to read this to you. I just pretty much went over it. Finally, as it says, as of right now, you can only insert and delete to-dos. You cannot edit them. Modify the program so that you can edit them. And as it says, it may take some Googling. So in other words, one thing you could do is to, on each one of these, add an edit button. We've already got the delete button in here. You'll notice that if I go back into my code here, all right, if I go back into my code here, and notice I'm getting all that stuff. I added 2 to-dos and I removed 2 to-dos. All right, so you can see the stuff as it's running in there. But if I come in here and I find my index.ejs, and here I've got that button, you saw that, all right? And if I come in and copy that, and right after the one I've got, I put in here edit to do as an example, all right? And I do a file, save all, and then I come back here. Oh, I'm sorry, I put it in the wrong place, but hopefully, I know I put it in the wrong place. Let me move it because I'm not trying to confuse anybody. All right, that's got to go in here. So let me copy this. All right. And this, rather than delete, now it's going to probably come back with, it might with an error message because I have no edit thing written yet. You will have to write that. So this will say edit. Again, when I run this now, it may give me an error, which is totally fine. All right, but when I come back up here now and I refresh, there you go. Well, I got to fix that. But again, you get the idea. I don't have to make it red. If I go right now and click edit, it'll remove it. But if I click delete rather, it'll remove it. But if I click edit, it'll give me an error because I don't have a routine yet. I don't have a route and a controller set up to edit the to-do. All right. Well, how do you edit the to-do? There's different ways of doing it. All right. You literally could set it up so, make this an editable type of field and have it literally come up in there where you could sit there and type something else in. All right. And again, hopefully, what I'm saying right now is at least somewhat resonating with everybody. All right. That it makes at least some sense to you. And if for some reason it doesn't, that's not on you, that's on me. So if it does not make sense, then it is your responsibility to get a hold of me and ask. All right. So again, what I'm asking you to do is to clean this up, what you see on the screen. The nav bar should have a listing for home. It should have a listing for this page, like, show to-dos or whatever you want to call this. The homepage you will write yourselves. You can have anything you want. I would guess that if you go out to images.google.com and I put in here to-do list, there's going to be something. So you can grab one of those, you can grab this, you can grab this, whatever makes sense to you. But again, one of the things I'm trying to impress upon you in here, and I'm really trying to get across, all right, is when you are doing this stuff, when you're doing it, it should look professional. There shouldn't be anything that you create in here. I mean, the to-do list and the other ones, the movie thing that we did, that you would be able to put onto your portfolio and be able to show it to people. So fix the nav bar. You could keep this, you can change it, you can do whatever you want to do. If you don't like the interface, you can completely change that. I don't care. I like there to be a sticky footer. The nav bar hopefully is sticky. You might want to check on that. All right. All right. Again, add your own CSS and Bootstrap CSS to the site. Yesterday, you may or may not remember this, but yesterday when I ran this, these were coming up as links, as hyperlinks. And the reason they were coming up as hyperlinks instead of as buttons is inside of my head.ejs file, I didn't include the bootstrap.min.css. So I went back and put that in, and I also took the bootstrap.min.js and added that to my foot.ejs file. All right. I mean, these are just things that hopefully, at least as I mentioned them, are like, well, yeah, that just makes sense. All right. So I'm going to do this part right now. All right. I'm going to change this. I'm not going to send it to you again, but we'll go over this on Monday, 10/24. All right. And I'm not trying to put that off. I want to make sure that when I do it, everything works. I've got 7 tests that I have to run, and all 7 must pass before I go and demo it to all of you. So again, we will do that first thing in class on Monday. We will go over that, and then we're going to put to rest, no pun intended, the MongoDB_REST API assignment. And after we do that on Monday, we're going to go in and start talking about MongoDB Atlas. All right. So with all of that said, let me start bringing up the code. And again, some of it will be kind of repetitious from yesterday, but let's look at the whole
Mr. Scott.
thing. Go ahead.
Uh, so on my to-do list, I went ahead and tried to do a npm run dev start, and
Okay.
I'm getting an error. It says throw new type error app.use requires a middleware function. So
Well, I'll tell you what. Hopefully the question is going to be answered when we look at the code in just a minute, okay? And you can look at that, and if it's not, you'll let me know. Is that fair enough?
yeah,
Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to kind of do it backwards in that I want to first look at the partials, and I want to show you what I did in the partials. All right. So this is my whole head. In fact, this keeps getting put here, this body in HTML, and I don't want them there. Oops. All right. So this whole thing, this right here, 14 lines, 13 lines, I guess. That is my head EJS. All right. So there, and all I did was I started up Emmet in here. You know, I did the exclamation point and hit tab. I changed this to list app, and then I added the link for the Bootstrap Min CSS. All right. And after the beginning body tag, I cut off the ending body tag and I cut off the ending HTML tag. Now, there shouldn't be any questions on that. Be happy to take them if you have them, but I mean, hopefully that just makes sense. All right. So that's the head.ejs that you put in. If you need to or want to, all right, maybe you want to change yours. I'm just putting in one heading here. But one thing you could do if you wanted to do would be to have one heading for the title page and one heading for the to-do list page. How would you do that? You would come in there and rather than putting this in there, you would have a variable that you would end up putting in with your less than sign, percent sign, equal sign, and then the name of that variable. All right. So there's different ways you can do this. All right. So that is your head. Then let's take a look next at the foot. You can see how short that is. All right. Literally 6 lines. There's the script. In fact, what I should also put in here at the bottom, and I didn't, shame on me, my slash body tag and my slash HTML tag. So it's 8 lines now. All right. So this thing at the top, I must have put that there. Okay, I'm adding here the bootstrap.min.js file. Then I created a footer. Your footer may look 100% different than this. I literally grabbed this off the internet. When this is the code that came up, if you put in a Google search for bootstrap sticky footer. All right, so if you want to totally change yours, not a problem. But you'll have a script tag, you'll have a footer tag, you'll have an ending footer tag, you'll have your ending body tag, you'll have your ending HTML tag. And again, we're to the point in this class that should all make sense. All right. And then, so that's the head and there's the foot. So let's also come in here and look at the nav bar. All right. And you can see how small that is. Now, if you decide, because I went out, you saw me do this yesterday. I went out to getbootstrap.com. I went out to the docs, and underneath there, I went out to components, and I found navbar. And there's really 2 major ones listed in there. The first one is not the one I used. That's the one that's got a bunch of options in it. You may want to use that example. All right. And again, so if I go out here to getbootstrap.com and I go out to docs and I go down to components and I find the nav bar, this second one here, not this one is the one I used. In particular, the one right here, which was this. That's exactly what I used. If you want to put an image in yours, or if you want to use this one, all right, and just change it so this says like to do, and you have a home, and you have one here that says show to dos or something, and you want to get rid of the rest of this, totally fine. Do it whatever way you want. I want these all to look individualistic. In other words, I don't want them all to look alike. All right. So I have now gone over the head.ejs, the foot.ejs, and the navbar.ejs. All right. Here is my index.ejs. Now it's spread out over 34 lines because I spread this thing way out so you could see everything. And same with this. It's really about 25 lines. Well, there's only one file in here. Will you change this? The answer is yes. You may not want to, you may want to rename this. This might become your showtodos.ejs file, and the index.ejs file will be the one that you'll want to resonate or come up for your homepage. John, I don't mean to pick on you, but does that make sense what I just said?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got your partials for your header, your partials for your nav bar. I put an H1 in here, to-do list, and then we've got our form. Our form is right here over these 10 or so lines. All right. It's unbelievably simplistic. All right. What do I mean? It has a text field in it. All right. So it has the text field, and then underneath that, because I should move this over so it looks a little better. All right. And it has the submit button. That's all that's in here. And again, I showed you yesterday, I proved to you yesterday, I proved it again today, that I didn't spend a boatload of time trying to make this look pretty. I just wanted to get it done and make it functional, and it is. All right. Okay. So here's my add to do. All right. So again, there is my input or my text box, whatever you want to call it. And here is the button. All right. That's the button that's underneath it. If you decide you want to play around with the way that this looks, and for instance, you want these both on the same line, or you want to cut down the size for the to do whatever you'd like to do. It's yours. It's your project. All right, so that's in the form. Then under the form, this is the unordered list. And I don't know how I ended up with an ending form tag here. So let me get rid of that. All right. But this is the unordered list. And the key components in there are the ones that you think they would be. I just added this right now, today, to add that edit button. All right. It is not functional. The delete button is functional. The edit button is not functional. What does that mean? That means, as you'll see later, we're going to have to add a route that's going to handle that. But inside of my unordered list, I'm telling it to basically, right here, I'm telling it to do a for loop and to loop through every to-do I currently have. And then for every to-do that I currently have, I want you to display that to-do. And again, I mentioned this to you before. I want you to see this. If I leave this off, I've got to-dos here, dot to-do. I'm going to leave that off for now. I won't get an error, but it'll look a lot different. So I'm going to do a file save, and now I'm going to come back here and refresh. Notice I get all that information I didn't really want. I'm getting now the entire to-do. What does that mean? I'm getting the entire collection. The only thing I want, and you can see it's called to-do, is this right here. So when I go and I change that back again to what we just had there, to-do dot to-do, and I save it, and I come back to here and I refresh. Now it looks, well, I guess I removed it, but now it looks a little bit more the way we want it to look. Let me go back and fix that. Okay, I think I had to-do dot to-do. It's to-dos dot to-do. All right. There you go. All right. So now, and we've got our footer at the bottom. So now I have shown you everything that's in our views folder. All right. We went first, we did the head.ejs, then I showed you the foot.ejs, then I showed you the navbar.ejs, and now I've just shown you the index.ejs. And I know I'm sounding very repetitive, but because I keep getting emails from people saying, I don't get this, I don't get this, I'm trying to be more deliberate. So hopefully when I say something, you do get it. All right. Or if you have a question, for lack of better words, you kind of know, I don't know why it does that, but it does. You'll know what question to ask. All right. So we have now gone through everything in the partials. Okay. And our index.ejs file. Let's go next and we'll go in and look at our models.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
The stuff that was on your to-do list, now when you put that in, does it go into your MongoDB database?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to look at right now.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, that's a good question. So next we're going to go up to our models. All right. And there's a to-do.ejs in there. So this is the schema. All right. What we're doing is we are letting the system know that any time you put something, you actually put a value into, so when you put a value into that text box, that it's going to go in as a new one of these. It's a new to-do. That's why the only thing that's in there is the word to-do, because as you already know, all right, as you already know, MongoDB automatically adds an ID field for you if you don't add one yourself. All right. So that's it for that. And yeah, to answer your question, yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. All right. So let's take a look at how that happens right now. So I'm going to close this, and really I can close this too. All right. So we've now looked at the model. We have looked at everything under views. All right. So there's nothing under controllers yet because that's what you're going to do. So let's look at routes. All right. And again, you notice we have two routes in there. We have an index.js route and we've got a todos.js route. Okay. So let's take a look at each one of those. Well, I thought I had them both up, but for some reason, one of them is not up. All right. There we go. All right. Let's just do the easy one first. Why? Because it's only 9 lines. All right. This is literally saying every time we go to what is now our homepage, I want you to go out and basically that's running, that right there is running this command that you see right here. So that command is programmatically running this command right here. And it's a capital to do because that's what we called it up here, because that's the way we're referring to it in our model. I'm trying to show you how the pieces of the puzzle kind of fit together. All right. This may take some time. So we used async with it. And when you use async, you need a wait. You can't, when you have an async, it expects there'll be an await. If you have an await, you need to have an async. And so this is grabbing everything. This is grabbing everything and it's putting it into this variable called all to-dos. Then it is passing that all to-dos variable. All right. It is passing it to index. And in index, it is referred to as to-do. All right. And that gets us back to what we just looked at. So in that index.js, that is, excuse me, that is in our views, this one, notice where we did this and we put in here, wherever there, to-dos.to-do. That's it. That's what we're trying to show. Since it's in a loop, we're looping through and we're grabbing each one that has been put in here. And we're telling it to render it on screen based on the way that we formatted it in our index.ejs file that is in our views directory. Now I'm asking you, I don't mean to keep picking on you, but you're the only one here right now. Does what I'm saying make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, then let's look at the todos.js file. All right, you'll notice that with both of these, you can close that one. They both start the same way. Const router equal require express.router, same thing. Const to do equal require models to do, same thing. All right. So what we're doing here is we are making that router thing available to us. This is, again, very similar to what we've been saying as const app equal express. All right. And this one right here, we are saying, hey, whenever we say to do dot something, whatever that is, we want you to go into the model and then operate on the schema. All right. So we've got two routes in here. we've got a post route, and we've got a get route. You'll notice that this get route here, you're going to make another one that's going to be very similar to this, and you're going to put it down here. What do I mean? That's going to end up being, it might be a post, it might be a get, but that's the one you're going to be using for your edit to do ID down here. All right. So this is handling the grunt work, if you want to call it that. All right. The post right here is basically saying, this is what's going to run right here. This is what's going to run. Just like I just put down. This is the route that should execute when we enter something into that text box, which we are using as a to-do. Now you could put anything you want in there. You could put your name in there every time if you wanted to. We're not checking for anything like that. You can also put in, we're not checking for the same to-do put in more than once. All right, we could do stuff like that. All right, but we're saying here that, okay, it's a post because we want to physically, we're hitting a submit button. All right, so we want to add that to do. And we need to know when we add that to do, what was put in there. This would work, this request.body would work, and it wouldn't matter if we had one field in there or we had 10 fields in there. That would grab everything. And we're referring to it now as to do. So this right here is literally creating a new to-do object. Anytime you've seen new in all the stuff that we've been working with, be it in this class, be it in the AWD1111 class, you know, if you talk a little bit about the newer type of object-oriented programming in JavaScript, or be it in the AWD1111 class, the C# programming. And it's kind of interesting because today they're doing their hands-on test for chapter 12, which is the first chapter in the book that was on object-oriented programming. All right. So once we do that and we instantiate, we're telling it, okay, we want to save this. So again, I'm trying to answer your question, John. That is saving it to our database right there, that line. And we're telling it if it worked, then on our screen, say successfully added to do. And you hopefully saw that when we were in here. So again, if I come back in here and let's just add something, okay? This is a new to do, okay? And I hit enter. There it is right there. And when you look right here, all right, no, you don't see it yet because we've got to do another db.todos.find. And now what you see in here, this is a new to do. All right. So we actually do have a new to do in there. And the act of getting all that stuff to work, not there, I'm sorry, was what we looked at right here. And again, what I should see now in my console successfully added to do. So that is coming literally, that is coming from right here. And we redirect back to our home page. Again, you might change this and have it redirect. You can have it redirect back to your home page after you make a new home page on your own, or you can have it redirect back to your to-do list page or whatever you call that. And of course, then if it errors out, just print out the error. The delete, all right. So you'll notice when we did this, it's just a .save. You may or may not remember this, but when we first started talking about Mongo, and I went through that example with those products that we did almost on day one of this thing in here, we first created the schema, then we created a single record, And it was like, I might have even been using books then. I don't remember. Might have been movies. All right. But whatever it was, I think it was books or products or something. And we just said the name .save. That saves the individual record right there. Now, if we had a whole bunch of these that we were adding, all right, then we could use a different command. With the delete, we're telling it we want to delete. So this is the code that's going to run whenever we press the delete button. So this is the code that executes when the delete button of any of the to-do list items is clicked. All right. So when that happens, we tell it to go out and get the ID. Then we tell it we want to delete one record. What record? The one with that ID. If it succeeds, we said deleted to do successfully. So again, if I run back here and the one I just added, first of all, let's double check. I think I showed you this, but let's double check. Whoops, that's the MongoD. All right, so you saw that this is a new to-do. Well, let's remove that one. All right, so I'm going to click there and notice the message that I will see now in my terminal or in my console, deleted to do successfully. So that message is this message right here. Then we told it to redirect back to the home page. So in other words, show us this and don't have that one in there. You can see it's gone. Plus, again, if we go out to here, and if I again run db.todo.find, what is it, to do or to do's? I don't remember now. To do's. So if I say db.todos.find, now I should see the wash the car and the take out garbage, but this is a new to do, should be gone. And it is. All right, so I'm trying to run through the sequence with you as far as everything that's happening in here. All right. And then we export it. All right. So now we've gone through the model. We've gone through the routes. We've gone through the views. So what's left is the app.js file. So let's take a couple minutes and go through that. All right. Not real big. In fact, it's 20 lines. We still are requiring Express. We're requiring Mongoose. All right. We're setting up or instancing our Express, and we're setting up our port. All right. Then this is where we connect to that Mongo database in our program. Now, John, tell me, have I answered the question that you had before?
I'm sorry, do you want me to describe?
I'm just wondering, you had the question before about, that's why I've been trying to explain how everything fits together. Is it making sense?
Yeah, it's making sense, but I still just have the that app.use requires a middle function.
Okay. All right. Do you have all of this in yours? Look in your app. What's that?
Yeah, I do. I have all that.
You do. All right. Well, then what I would tell you is just, and I promise I will look at it as soon as class is over. All right. And that is, go ahead, just like you did yesterday, and zip the whole thing, send it to me, and I should be able to turn it around, hopefully in a matter of minutes. All right. So here are our constants. Here we're connecting to Mongo. Here we're adding the middleware. All right. Here we're basically establishing our routes. And here we're just starting the application. All right. So with the stuff that I've gone over here, are there any questions? Okay, then not hearing any. Again, going back to this, I hope at least I've done everything that's in here. I showed you all the code. I told you how I want you to take what is currently, there's only one page currently in the site. So that's that, since there's only one page technically right now, the page that shows all of our to-dos is the home page. I want you to change that. All right. That will necessitate you adding another page, another EJS page. You'll want to take what is currently in your index.ejs file under your views and maybe call it todos.ejs. I don't know, move all that code in there. Then in your index, it should be a home page, and that home page should have an image on it. Put some text on it if you want. Set it up any way you want to. Okay. And again, you will want to go in and, because I did almost nothing in here. So you'll want to modify that. You'll want to modify that, and you'll want to modify that. All right. The other thing, again, that I want you to do is to take the logic that currently exists inside of the routes, pull it out, move it into a controllers folder. So again, in controllers, you're going to have a controllers index.js and a controllers todos.js. All right. Then you will have to go back to your routes and update those two files so that they're pointing basically. So again, all I'm saying is you see what it's like right now. We've already gone through that. But if I go back to the one that we've been working on, this Mongo thing that's in here, and you look under routes, if I go, for example, to my user route, okay, this is the kind of thing that you are going to need to put in there. So that's why I said you can use this as a template for whatever it is you want to do. All right. All right. And then again, I want you to go in and attempt to go in and see if you can edit a to-do. All right. Now, if you look online long enough, you're going to find examples of this, or, you know, I would start with maybe going to YouTube. I don't know. All right. Or just put it into your search. All right. You know, if I, come in here and do something like, something like that. How to add edit capability to a Node.js MongoDB to-do list. All right. And if you look in there long enough, you're going to find something. All right. So add your own CSS, add your own Bootstrap CSS as necessary. As I mentioned yesterday, be sure to have Mongod or MongoD and the Mongo shell running so you can verify that this stuff is working. We just did go over this. Tomorrow will be lab, and in 5 minutes, the rest of this period will be lab. All right. The test is due 1 week from Sunday. On Monday, we will first go over the testing scenario for the MongoDB REST API. All right. And then we will begin going over MongoDB Atlas. All right. I'll clean this up. I am going to resend it to you. All right. So it'll have this. Okay. Now, John, like I said, please take what you've got. And if it's not that big in that file, I don't know how big let's see, I'll look at mine once. My to-do is, no, it's 17 megs. So even if I zip it, it's going to be too big. So if yours is, just please put it out on your GitHub account, and then just send me an email once you've done that. And I'll, like we did yesterday, I'll go and pull it out, look at it, and see if I can figure out what the problem is and give you an immediate turnaround on that. Okay, that's all that I've got. Again, we'll pick it up on the testing scenarios for the MongoDB REST API on Monday. I'll talk to you then. Thanks.